Welcome back to Tucker Carlson Tonight. We're broadcasting live from the border between North and South Korea on the DMZ, where the president met yesterday with the dictator of North Korea. He became the first American president to set foot on the soil of the DPRK. But the president isn't the only American traveling abroad this summer, though. Yesterday, while the president was in Korea, his would-be replacement, Beto O'Rourke of Texas, was campaigning for votes in Mexico. True. Beto went to Juarez, where he met migrants and said that, of course, America is to blame for all of their problems. Watch.
We know that people are literally losing their lives. We just heard this from the gentleman, losing their lives as they're no longer able to cross at ports of entry. They're trying to cross in between ports of entry. We as a country have decided that that's what they will do. We put them in this precarious position. We have caused this suffering. We also have the opportunity to make this better and to make this right.
So it's America's fault that you're breaking our laws. You know, at moments you think, is Beto O'Rourke real, or is this some kind of sophisticated parody? Is he actually a right-winger doing a Borat-style propaganda video designed to undermine the left? That has to be the case. Watch this. Beto went on to say that America must accept all migrants from everywhere in the world because we're responsible for global warming, all of it. Watch this.
We've got to remember that they are fleeing the deadliest countries on the face of the planet today, compounded by drought that was caused not by God, not by Mother Nature, but by us. Man-made climate change, our emissions, our excesses, our inaction in the face of the facts and the science. When it is that deadly, and when you're unable to grow your own food to feed yourself, you have no choice but to come here.
Is Beto O'Rourke for real? That's the question some people are asking. Ethan Behrman, host Left Coast News. He joins us now, as Beto would say. Great to see you, Ethan. So it goes to that saying that there's no scientific evidence to support anything that this moron just said. But I guess my question is it legitimate for a presidential candidate to campaign for votes in a foreign country? Let's just start there.
Well, he's not campaigning for votes in Mexico. What he is doing is listening and learning, which is an attribute we should be celebrating, to understand what is happening from the people who are actually coming here. He was right that these are the deadliest countries in the world. We're talking about essentially failed governments in El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua that need help. And man-made climate change, scientists have come out and said it has contributed to the food insecurity that is happening. 2/3 of people in those countries are suffering from food insecurity, which also causes people to flee. I mean, if a gang is...
Can I ask you a question? Since we're getting to root causes, it was Spain, colonial Spain, that sailed over to Latin America, enslaved the native population, and started a form of government and a culture that has been corrupt for 500 years now. Why is it the fault of the United States? Why does Spain never get any of the well-deserved credit for wrecking an entire region? That's my first question. Do you know what the answer might be?
Well, I think that's interesting. Some people do talk about Spain, but I would talk about the Monroe Doctrine is when the United States decided to get heavily involved in Latin America. And ever since then, that is our sphere of influence. It's close to our home. We have a responsibility to make sure for our own national security to help those countries out. And our failed drug war has only contributed to all the problems that we're seeing right now. Okay. So there are a multitude of issues, and Beto is right. Yeah.
Is there anybody in America, we act like, oh, it's so easy to fix Guatemala. The Guatemalans have been working on it for hundreds of years and have failed. Who in America has the secret recipe, the formula for fixing Guatemala and Honduras? Who would that be?
Well, that is I don't know that there's one individual, but I guarantee if we got the right people together, and actually,
no one has any freaking idea, actually, is what you're really saying.
Oh, no. I mean, it's a combination of economic issues. It's a combination of government functioning issues. I actually think that President Trump, with his example of meeting with Kim Jong-un in the DMZ, could be an example that we could use in Central America as well if American leadership decided to intervene in places that are in our own backyard and contributing to issues that we're so worried about, which is human beings fleeing violence and food insecurity.
But I thought that is an opportunity in those countries was what caused their problems in the first place. But you're saying we need to intervene more? I'm completely confused.
Well, it was the way we intervened.
You're saying that our intervention wrecked those countries. It wasn't mismanagement locally. It wasn't Spain. It was us but now we need to meddle more, but you're not really sure how that's going to fix it, but we still have an obligation to do it. That seems to be the argument you're making.
Let's look at things like economic incentives. Let's look at things like ecotourism. Let's help them rebuild their own economies and put incentives in place to ensure good governance, along with our reformation of the failed drug war to defund the cartels.
Sounds
and
like
we
more
could put in
colonialism.
economic sanctions through. Yeah. Oh, I mean, but we could just use the banking sector like we're doing with Iran and North Korea against the cartels. We're not doing that now, Tucker. We sure could.
Ethan Behrman, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.